Hey, ladies, it's your girl Cherie here. So, I had a few minutes today and I decided to come and give you a very good lesson, very practical lesson. Many of you want to start um, consulting businesses, coaching businesses, things like that. I'm going to run through a very simple process for you to get started, get up, running, and depending on how much money you charge per hour or per client, you can get to six figures in a consulting or a coaching business. So, again, this is a very practical lesson for all my ladies here at Black Women Making Money. One of the things that we focus on is getting you up to $200,000 in income for your households. The reason I focus on that is because that puts you at the top 10% of earners in the United States. And once you make that kind of money, you have choices. You have the choice of where you want to live, um, where you want to eat, what kind of, where you shop, what kind of schools that your kids go to, etc. So it really is about economic liberation over here at Black Women Making Money. So what I want to do is I want to share my screen and we are going to got a little presentation just so you're able to follow it today. Just makes it a bit easier for all of you. So just make sure, yep, it's all here, it's showing. And okay, so this is all about how you can become a six-figure consultant or coach. And a lot of people try to overcomplicate it. It's really not that complicated to get up and running and started. The real complication is if you are trying to hire people to do the work for you, if you're trying to grow to like seven figures, things like that, then you have to add on a lot, well, I'm gonna say a lot more layers to it. But if you're doing something simple, you can by yourself make six figures. I have been fortunate enough to do that as a six-figure consultant. My mother has done it as well. So these are going to be some of the things that I'm going to teach you. But today's session really is in regards to the operational aspects of how to set it up and a little bit of marketing with regards to how to set it up, how to get it up and running. So first thing I'm going to talk about is what is the difference between consulting and coaching? So, a coach is somebody who works with a person long term in order for them to get a specific result. So, you'll hear about life coaches, you'll hear about fitness coaches, you'll hear about executive coaches, career coaches, people like that. A consultant is usually on for a specific project. So many of you know I am a business plan writer by trade. I am a consultant. There are people who are project management consultants, proposal management consultants. Um, some people do apps, websites, things like that. That is consulting. The stuff I'm going to tell you tonight, you can do for either thing. You can either use it for coaching or for consulting, but I will admit what I'm showing you tonight works a little bit better with consulting than coaching long term because sometimes people want to do group coaching versus one-on-one coaching. So I will say, if you want to do group coaching, this is probably not going to be the best lie for you. But if you're doing one-on-one coaching or you're doing consulting, you're taking on projects, then you are in the right place. First thing is, do you need credentials? The answer is it depends. It depends on what you are doing, what your skill set is, what you're going to be offering. I highly, highly, highly suggest that if you are doing this as a business, you pick a skill that you already know how to do. You find something that you already know how to do because I see a lot of people, they want to get into a new skill and they want to start a business. And it's very hard. I've only found few people who are able to actually do it and make it work. But if it's something you're already doing at work and you already know how to do it, and you know how to do it well, even if you hate doing it, if you're trying to make some cash, it is best to work with the skill that you already know. So, when do you need credentials? If you're going to be, for example, like a life coach or a financial coach, I do suggest you having some credentials. It makes you more skilled in helping people, and it also protects you in a way. So you want to have your credentials, and you also want to have um, your insurance as well to protect you. But like me, I'm a business plan writer. I don't need any credentials. Some of you are going to be designing websites or things like that. You don't really need any credentials. You just need to be trained. Um, if you have credentials, that's great, but you don't necessarily need credentials in order to do this type of work. So, next thing I want to talk about is doing the math, because for many of us, getting to $100,000 or six-figure consulting, even doing it part-time, is possible for a lot of people. So you could have 20 clients paying you $417 a month. Now, you would say, well, who would pay $417 a month? A lot of people would, but it has to be something that is highly, highly worth it. And you have to go to buyers that can actually afford to pay you that amount of money. But you could have a coaching or consulting business where you take on 20 clients paying you $417 a month in order to make your six figures. You could also do group coaching. I talked about that. $83 a month from 100 people gets you six figures. Or you could take on four clients paying you $25,000 a year or $25,000 a project. It's pretty much wide open. It kind of depends on what you're doing, how much people will pay for. But I will suggest that if you are good, you start off, lower in order to get a couple of people through the door, get some testimonials. I'm going to talk about that later. But then you charge towards the upper end of the market, and you go for targeted buyers who are able to pay you for your services. So there's 12 steps to success. Let's talk about what those are. Step number one is work hours. I talk about this all the time with you ladies, and that is you need to have a work schedule. If you have a full-time job, you work full-time, then having a schedule where um, you do this part-time, right? But you may say, hey, you know what? My work hours for this business are going to be Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. You do not miss work. You don't miss work unless there's something going on and like somebody's bleeding. Just like you wouldn't miss your job in your first year of being there unless something serious was going on, because this is serious business. So you gotta pick some work hours. The next thing you do is you have to decide what you're going to offer. What's your skill set? What are your packages going to be? What are you going to offer the world? Are you going to offer them one-on-one coaching? So that would be an hourly rate. Are you going to offer a package? With my business plan writing, I charge people either one of three prices, depending on the complexity of the project. Sometimes you may be doing project management or something like that, and you may do an hourly rate. I'm going to say right now, get your money up front, you know, um, unless you're working with like corporate America and you have to charge on the back end. Char- I have two people that owe me money right now. So um, I'm warning you. And like, I know better. I've been in business a long time. I know better, especially with one of them. I should have gotten my money up front from this person. You will waste a lot of time doing things for people and expecting them to pay you on the back end. But my tirade. Figure out what you're going to offer people and what your packages are going to be and what your pricing is going to be, etc. The reason you want to figure out all of that ahead of time is because you want to sound organized. You want to sound like you've put some thought into it. Next thing you want to do, step number 3, is figure out who your buyers are, who will want your products and services, and how much can they spend? Are they willing to spend it? Do they care? Things like that. When I think about business plans, for example, my target buyers are the frustrated entrepreneur who has tried to put together a first draft of their business plan and they're pulling their hair out and they're like, look, I need this professionally done because for me, my pricing is such that anybody who is looking for less than $400,000, it doesn't make any sense. So people come to me because they're looking for $1 million or $2 million. I have a client right now looking for $200 million. They're looking for a professional business plan writer. You need to figure out who your buyers are and how much they're going to be willing to pay in order to have you help them with whatever you're doing for them in the coaching or the consulting world. And remember, until your book of business is completely full, you need to spend 70% of your work time getting in front of prospects, talking to people, letting them know who you are, what you're doing, things like that. Over time, you're going to get busier with consulting projects and things like that. Never, ever, 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 ever go below 25% of your work time being spent on finding prospects and closing sales. Otherwise, you'll have the roller coaster revenue, which we don't want. So that's step 3. Step 4 is set up your social media. Again, this is a simple way for you to find prospects. You, I suggest one, maybe two primary um, social media platforms. So for me, for my business, I use LinkedIn and YouTube. Those are the best for me. I like YouTube because people will see a video I did 4 years ago talking about business plans for a certain industry and they find me. Um, LinkedIn, people look on LinkedIn as well for me. Well, they don't look for me, they're looking for business plan writers and they find me. Some of you, though, need to be on TikTok. Some of you would do better on Facebook. Some of you do better on Instagram. So it kind of depends on the type of business that you have. The one great thing about YouTube is that it is searchable, unlike Facebook and Instagram. TikTok, I don't use it. I'm not so sure if it's searchable or not. But if you're building like a life coaching business or a financial coaching business, TikTok is really great for you. YouTube is really great for you. Facebook could be really great for you with regards to you building a group and a community. If you are consulting and you're consulting more on fitness, then maybe Instagram and pictures and reels and things like that are going to work better for you. If you're doing B2B stuff, you're doing project management and things like that, LinkedIn may be the way to go. But sometimes you need to be a little, what do you call it? A little um, alternative with what social media platform you choose. So it just so happens I heard about this woman named Miss Excel. She teaches people how to use Excel, and apparently she got so big on TikTok that now she has a consulting agreement. I think it's 7 figures with Microsoft to talk about Excel. So sometimes going into new markets, talking about the same thing you know to talk about, but going into new markets is going to be the best way to do it. Next thing you need to do is create your content calendar. So, kind of think about what kind of content you're going to put out and how you're going to attract your perfect buyers to you. Step 6, sorry. You need to select the tools to make social media easier and more effective. So if you have a little bit of a budget, sometimes people would like to use something like Later or Hootsuite in order to um, set up all of your posts so that your it automatically goes into your social media. You may want to use something like StreamYard or Restream if you're doing, multiple platforms, or like I like StreamYard just for streaming on YouTube just because it's easier. You may also want to try vidIQ or TubeBuddy if again you're on YouTube and you want to know like the best hashtags to use and the best descriptions to use and thumbnails and things like that. You want to be searchable if YouTube is one of the primary ways that you're going to be getting leads through the door. Next thing, step 7, I suggest you set up something like Calendly or ACUITY scheduling. So what's going to happen is you're going to put out all sorts of posts, all sorts of videos and things like that. In each video, you're going to say, hey, if you want to contact me for a one-on-one, I offer 15 minutes at no charge. We can meet on Zoom and we can have a conversation. Why do you want to offer 15 minutes? Because you want to have a conversation with someone, but it needs to be short and sweet. Why do you want to meet them on Zoom? Because people need to know that you're a real person before they give you money. So, and again, this is for people who are choosing things that cost, a decent amount of money. Let's say you're charging people $800 or more for your services, right? So, 15 minutes, what you want to do is, I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm actually going to take you to one of my other screens here. I'm just going to show you Calendly here. So this is Calendly. It is Black owned. I really like it. I didn't even know it was Black owned when I started using it, but this is a great way for people to get on your calendar. And you can also set it up where people can also pay to get on your calendar as well. So this is what my Calendly looks like when people want to come. They want to discuss their business plan project, 15 minutes. I do a phone call. You could do a phone call. You could do a Zoom. There are different ways that you can set things up in order to meet with people. Um, I do have here, just because I'm super busy, what my minimum fee is here and who I work best with. You don't necessarily have to have that, but it'll ask you in the description how you want to describe the specific meeting that people are able to schedule themselves for, and you're able to put that here. Calendly is really easy to use. And then what people do is you'll give them the link when in each posts that you do, you'll give them a link. You'll say, hey, if you want 15 minutes one-on-one time with me for free, use my link, get on my Calendly. And then what people are able to do is, let's say somebody wants Thursday at 2 p.m., they can click that, they can enter all of their information, and you are also able to put in additional questions that people can answer for you. The little asterisk means that it's required, and people are able to schedule the event. And again, you want to keep these for free now, but over time, if you want people to pay, Calendly is really cool because you can even have people pay to schedule time with you. So, okay. So then let's get back to the presentation here. So again, that's a super simple way for you to set that up. Then step 8, you need to prepare to sign on clients. So this is where a lot of people drop the ball. I knew a guy once, many years ago, and he had an investor that was willing to give him 7 figures in an investment. But he said, I need a specific piece of paperwork from you. And it's paperwork that is standard. It took that entrepreneur 6 months to get that investor that paperwork. Well, what happened during that 6 months? The investor lost interest. If you do not have your paperwork ready for people to sign on, they're going to potentially lose interest. So I'm going to show you a really cool platform that you can use in order to send out invoices, send out proposals, and also manage your time. And it's called FreshBooks. It's used by a lot of freelancers. I personally don't use it, but I have had a couple of subcontractors that I know they do use it. And from a user point of view, it is very easy to use. So this is FreshBooks here. And what it does is it started off as just accounting software, but it really is kind of a resource for you to do your proposal management, your timekeeping for clients, your billing. People can pay you automatically. You can invoice them. You can even do recurring subscriptions through FreshBooks. So I highly recommend this, and the pricing is really good as well. So let's look at some of the features that FreshBooks has. So one of the things that you're able to do is proposals, right? So somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to work with you. Can you send me a proposal? Well, you are able within FreshBooks to actually create a proposal, and these are professional looking proposals where you're able to tell them what you're going to do for them, what the rate is, things like that. And the person, when they are ready to sign up, they can electronically sign and it goes right into the system. So this is a really great feature. The other thing that you are able to do is you are able to give estimates for people. So you can send clear expectations with estimates and the proposal. This is a great thing for you as a contractor. You are able to do payments here. So you can accept payments online. People can either, you can set it up where it's a subscription for people and they are able to put their credit card in and it charges them every single month automatically. Or it could be a one time invoice, and then once you're done, you're able to bill them accordingly. You can also do time tracking in here, so you can maximize your productivity. Basically, let's say you're working on a client and you're doing billable hours. I had a couple of vendors do that for me. They would work on my stuff. They would basically click a button and they would start working on my project. And then when they were done, they would click a button and it would automatically track the time and automatically generate the invoice when they were ready to send me the invoice. And then I was able to easily pay. So there's other things like mileage tracking and accounting and things like that. You can keep up with your clients, keep up with your projects, etc. I do recommend this for people with regards to getting started. So let me come back then to my presentation here, and we don't have that much left to do. Alrighty then. So step number 9 is set up your client onboarding process. So let's say somebody says, yes, I'm interested. You use FreshBooks, you get them to sign up, they've paid your retainer, then what? Within my business, I have a business plan questionnaire that I customize for the person and I send it off. Do you have a standard questionnaire? Like, people need to be led. One of the worst things you can do is have a client sign up, a client pay you, and then they don't hear from you for 3 weeks because you're trying to figure out the next thing to do. No, like, what's the next thing? Is it that they immediately schedule time on your calendar? Well, then you need Calendly again in order to say, hey, now that you've paid, here's my Calendly. Go sign up for your onboarding session. Do they have to do homework? Whatever it is that they have to do, think about what the client onboarding process is going to be. Get all of that set up. Number 10 is when you are starting off, what you may want to do is offer to work with 3 prospects either for free or for a small charge in exchange for testimonials. So right now my business plans are $3,900 to $5,000. When I first got started, though, my business plans were $1,500. Well, anybody who understood my caliber of work is like, oh, wow, Cherie is charging us half of what she would usually charge in order to do my business plan. And what you're going to do in your proposal is you're going to say to them, look, I will give you half off, but I am looking for testimonials. Video testimonials work the best, right? So once you've done the work for the person, or in the middle of doing the work for the person is able to come on video and say, hey, you know, Jane is super great. She's done this for me. She's done that for me. I'm so much more organized, things like that. If you have 3 of those testimonials from people who work with you in the very beginning, you are going to be able to charge not only your regular rate, but even more than your regular rate, because people like testimonials. Step 11, market like crazy. Market like crazy. Continue doing your social media. Continue adding posts to your LinkedIn. Do networking. Get on Clubhouse in the right rooms and talk to people. Market like crazy. Make sure anybody and everybody knows who you are and what you're doing. It's better to have more leads than you need than to have none at all. Because if you have more leads than you need, then you can kind of pick and choose the projects that you want to be on. And finally, raise your prices. Let's say you've been in business for a year, year and a half, 2 years. There will be a point, especially in this inflationary environment, where you want to raise your prices. You want to get to a point where you're charging what the top 10% of people in the industry is charging. So that's it. That is the session all about becoming a 6-figure coach or consultant. I hope that you enjoyed today's session. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. Thanks so much. Have a blessed evening.